All right, so let's talk a little bit about customer journey mapping. Basically, the idea of a customer journey map is that you want to know the possible paths that people will take from not knowing you until they become your biggest fan, okay? And there's a lot of different possible paths, and so you might create tens or hundreds of customer journey maps. And the reality is that when you create them, you're then going to be able to reverse engineer them into the actual assets you need for a marketing campaign, and you can direct people down the paths that you want them to go down. So, how do you figure out what paths people might take? So, in the end, some people do this with post-it notes. That's one possibility. You can do it with index cards. You can use apps. There's an app on the iPad called Card Flow Plus, which lets you do index cards, and it has a place where you can draw on the side of it, so you can make little drawings. Because ultimately, like, if you look at these cards, the ones with little drawings make it more interesting, make it visual, make it easier to understand and visualize where people are going and what they're doing. Um, and so you can also use something called Trello. That's any Kanban software, anything that does a board, Asana, a lot of task management systems that have Kanban. You can use a Kanban board to do this. Um, and that's what I'm going to use right now because it's easiest to do a screen share on. So basically, what we're going to do here, it's a two-step thing. First of all, you want to set up your board. So I'm using uh, six different 7 different sections. One is just everything. It's my brainstorming. All stages is just like my brainstorm area. So the first step is to brainstorm, okay? And then the second step is to create a board where I've got 5 stages. And you might have heard of ADA, awareness, interests, desire, and action as the 4 steps of a, a customer experience. I'm going to go from unfamiliar because basically awareness is the first step that you want to achieve in marketing, but you're starting at unfamiliar. So there's that pre-awareness stage, and then there's post-action. So after you've sold, there's actually the journey doesn't end when they buy your thing. And so there's the post-action. So we're taking the standard framework and adding a step before and after it. Okay, so you want to, now if you're doing post-its, you can just create like a post-it with each of those words and stick them across the wall, and then you're going to put your other ones under it. If you do index cards, same thing. You can do an index card and lay out 6 rows, and we're going to go ahead and create columns just like this. And so the first thing we're going to do is write without thinking about what stage. We're going to brainstorm every possible thing a person can do to interact with our product or service, our company, and us. So I've started a little column over here. They could see an ad on Facebook. They could see a post by another person about us. They could follow one of our companies. They could ask a friend for advice. Um, they could send in homework. So these micro trainings have homeworks. They could send us homework. That's a stage. They can book a call. They can meet one of us in a public place. Although I'm recording this during the coronavirus, so I just date stamped that. So that's a little bit off the table right now, but whatever. Um, they can send warm email personal invites, they can buy the course, whatever. These are all things they can do, and you want to brainstorm widely. Okay, so don't limit yourself. Maybe they could see a tweet, okay? But maybe they could um seriously uh like overhear a conversation in a coffee shop about what we're doing. There's um maybe they could ask a friend for marketing help, and that friend happens to know who we are and says, "Oh, you should ask these guys." There's lots of um things people can do. So don't limit this. The first thing is to write down everything you can possibly think of, pages and pages of possible ways people can interact with you. Okay? Um And in terms of the unfamiliar and post action, so uh, unfamiliar, like asks a friend for advice would go in unfamiliar. So this has nothing to do with us. Somebody's asking a friend for advice on marketing or whatever. Now, how does this turn into awareness? Well, it's actually in post action. So let me add another card, which is refers friends. Okay? So now you've run through our materials, you've worked with us, you love us. A post action is that you're going to refer friends, and lo and behold, that starts this journey all over again, because when a friend asks for advice, maybe their friend's like, oh, hey, you should check these guys out. Okay? Um, Now, okay, so step two of this is that you're going to sort these all into columns. So let's talk about our specific one. Season ad on Facebook um, is generating awareness, but this is actually, they're not familiar with us. So this is cold. They're going to see an ad on Facebook about us. Um, they're going to see posts by other people about us. Now, if they follow us, that means they're aware of us. So they maybe have seen a post or whatever. They go to us, they follow us. That's awareness. That could also be interest. I mean, that depends on how you look at that. Um, when they sign up for the 9 steps training, that is definitely interest. And I'm going to put this in awareness because really just liking us doesn't mean a lot. Now, if they actually sign up for our 9 steps and send in homework, that probably means that they are wanting what we have. And that could also, and you have to figure out, that could also just be interest. They're doing their homework. But if they book a call, all of a sudden, they are really wanting what we have. And um, you could look at booking a call as taking action, but typically taking action is going to be the most boring, where it's that they buy. Okay, so the action phase you want is you want them to become a customer. And so there might be multiple ways that they can buy. And you're welcome to put them all here, but I would leave, those for the taking action, or you might even rename this become a customer, right? I just did the awareness, interest, desiring action to make the AIDA parallel, but you can call them anything you want, really, as long as you get the gist of what we're doing here. So see a tweet's unfamiliar. Overhear a conversation is unfamiliar. Ask a friend for marketing help is unfamiliar. Send a warm email, personal invite. So this is actually aware of us because this is someone that knows us. And it's a step that we would take for the people who are aware to try to move them to interested in a specific thing. Is referred for other work. So this is someone who's aware of us, but doesn't even know. Like maybe somebody said, hey, contact these guys to get a website built. And we're going to turn it around and say, instead of building a site, why don't we work together and build a site for you? Right, and move them into training. But so that could be anything like that, or they came in for SEO work and were like, hey, do you have funnels? And so that's that. And then meet staff in public, again, goes to the unfamiliar. So most of my stuff right now is unfamiliar. Now, if you do this and it ends up like this, because I only brainstorm for about 3 seconds here, but I might want to go back and say, like, what are the other things that could show that somebody is interested? There's sends us an email with questions. There's calls company. And so when you do this, if you realize that you have not got a lot of stuff in one column, think about why. And if they really want it, they book a call with us, or again, sends an email with questions, could go in both of these. So you might want to word that twice, because depending on what's said in that email, email could be almost any of these stages. I mean, somebody could write and be like, I'm in, I'm going to buy. Okay, so you might create multiple cards and put them in the different columns. And this is not a journey map. This is a framework, okay, where you're now going to say, let's build a journey. And let's say that we're going to advertise on Facebook. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to just drag this to the top, and we're going to go ahead and advertise on Facebook. And from there, okay, so here's one I forgot, is clicks on ad. So now they're aware of us, and they're reading our materials, and then they're going to sign up for the 9-step training, and they're going to send us their homework, and then they're going to book a call, okay? And then they're going to buy the course. Now this is actually the funnel that you guys are walking through right now. You saw an ad on Facebook probably, you clicked on it, you signed up for the training, Some of you have sent in homework, some of you haven't, and if you haven't, go do this right now and share it with me so that you get to that stage, right? And then book a call and we'll talk about it. Now, and I know that those of you who have done your homework and booked calls, you guys are my target market. Like the people who saw the ad and clicked, and even who signed up, that's great. But if you're not committed enough to take one step for your business, are you really going to commit to a 3-month course working with us to build a killer marketing system? Probably not. And so those of you who book the calls, those are the ones who then I'm really focusing on to move to taking action. I'm assessing whether or not it's a good fit, and if it is, I want you in. I want to work with you. And so this journey, right? And now let's go back to step 1. So that's one customer journey. Now, maybe there's another customer journey where someone asks a friend for advice, okay? They're not going to see an ad, and their friend is going to tell them, so in the awareness phase, we're going to say friend referral email. So their friend, and this happens a lot, writes to us and is like, hey, I want to introduce you guys. I think you'll be a great fit, blah, blah, blah. So now they're aware of us, whoops, because they got this friend referral email. And what are we going to do? We're going to write back and say, hey, so cool. I think this will be great for you. A good starting point is to walk through our 9 steps training and just check it out and see if it feels right for you, and send us an assignment and book a call if it does. Okay, so then we move into the same funnel. And it might be totally different. It might be that if you refer a friend, we just want to jump you straight to, we want to call you and we're going to talk to you, and then, we're going to assess your interests. So you can have completely different funnels, but your first step, okay, is to get all of your columns lined up and then to pick one path that you think that customers are going to walk down. And this is what we're going to do together in the Customer Experience Lab. If you decide to come on board, is we're going to take one of these paths after we've thoroughly planned it and made sure that our messaging is right, we've got great copy, our alignment is right, our branding is good, and we're set, and then we're going to build a single path, which is the path that we think is most likely to generate the most leads. And we're going to build it out top to bottom and set up scientific testing underneath it to make sure that it succeeds, and get it out into the world, generating leads. And once you've done it once and it works, right, what are you going to do then? Well, you're going to say, okay, let's do it again. And big companies who are really successful often have tens or hundreds of individualized specific marketing funnels that bring people in. But it all starts with one. And once you get good at this, it can be very fast, not only because you don't have to do this again. Picking a new map, you should have most of it on here. You just add 1 or 2 cards if you forgot something that's part of the journey you need, or are wanting to design for the next one, and then you've got, this is an asset that lives forever. Your copy library is an asset that lives forever. Your customer personas, these are all of the exercises we've done together so far are things that live forever. Now, if you are watching this on YouTube or something, you might want to click on the link under the video and you can go get all the materials I'm talking about, because this is part of a 4-piece training that we've done. And if you're here and you've been part of this training, all these assets we're building are things that aren't going to change until you completely change your product or service offering. These are things that are going to live forever. The build process and the tracking process are per journey. So once you get there, you're going to build a journey, you're going to make it work, and then you're going to go build a second one. And this is going to be something that you are going to do for the rest of your business life. And it's going to be the most critical thing to growing and scaling your business. So go ahead and do this and send me an email with, share your Trello board with me, or take a picture of your note cards or whatever and send it to me. And then let's get on the phone and talk through yours specifically. And I look forward to seeing what you've got to share.